Mike.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ben Woodward's mentoring call. Of course,
Nice surprise. Thank you.
I'm not Ben Woodward. He has some things that he's doing that's very important. He's being interviewed as well. And so he asked me to fill in and cover some of the ground that I actually covered last night. I'm not sure how many of you may have made the Four-Year Career book launch presentation that was done last night at 9 p.m. Eastern. That, I believe, has been recorded, and I'm sure will probably be released as a recording. And I was honored to be one of the people who Richard Brooke has included yet again in his newest edition of the Four-Year Career. So obviously, I have a little bit of skin in the game because my story's in the book. But most important, I thought, was that Niken is being featured as one of the less than a dozen companies he's identified as companies worth featuring, as he refers to as legacy companies. And that's his focus and mainstay in the network marketing industry, is to really present a case for and honor the legacy companies, but not just in terms of honoring, but in terms of recognizing that if you were going to make a choice, which is one of the comments, one of the sections in the book is how to choose your legacy company. The emphasis is a legacy company for many reasons that are pointed out in the book. And so I'm happy that Niken has representation in this general publication, because a lot of people who are not in Niken are going to be exposed to it and exposed to my story and the Niken story of humans being more through this. I think that's, we had a gentleman on the line last night, Tom Chernall, who has over 1.3 million people in his downline. Let me say that again, 1.3 million people in his organization. And he's commenting on me in the chat, and I just thought that was really cool and humbling. But the point being, we have a place in the industry that is honored and respected, and I wanted to pick up on that where you guys are concerned, because I know that the dialogue that the Four-Year Career presents and the commentary in that discussion last night really showcases presenting network marketing as a business model, okay, or presenting the business model. And I know that at this moment in time, you're also hearing from Ben, especially the article he just did on Facebook, and Niken at large, the discussion about the change or the shift that we need to make, myself included, to be more customer centric. And this might be confusing that we are on both ends of the spectrum. The truth of the matter is, these are both oars that need to go in the water if you want your boat to move forward. And so they are equally important aspects of what it is that we do, but there's a timing. There's a timing to it. And what may be changing or shifting right now is the timing. When is it appropriate to bring this matter up for discussion, being the idea of joining your team and joining the network? So I wanted to present my understanding of that and give you some tools to go forward. First of all, when the video of the Four-Year Career interview comes out, please watch it. It's about an hour and 15 minutes in total. But there's some incredible stories, and it's really encouraging. As I was listening, I had to wait until my turn. I think I was the 8th speaker, 9th speaker, something like that. And I was really encouraged listening to these other people who have started out, some with absolutely zero, and have built legendary careers or careers inside of 10 years with network marketing with their particular chosen legacy company. And I think it's really important to note that, because what's being presented is a case for this as a business And you guys aren't on this for fun and for free. Let's face the facts. And most people will not join our network for fun and for free. They want something out of it. So this discussion has to take place. But how to make it happen in a way that falls in line with all the rules, the regulations, the FTC, the new shift and focus to a more customer-centric approach. I think that's what this discussion is for. So first of all, I want to encourage you, if you haven't already got a copy of the new one, by the way, the new one's just been released, or the version for women, there's 2 versions. I suggest if you have not personally read this book, you need to read this book and understand why I stated publicly that this is my go-to book, even ahead of any video, as to making a case for why someone should consider joining me on my team. So many of you who attended our events, the ones in Toronto, you received copies. Your guests all received a copy of the 4-Year Career. Why? Why would I put money on the table? They're about $10 a book in Canada. Why do you suppose I invested in your guest in reading this book? Because my assumption, which is probably fairly accurate.
Hey, Brian, how much is it?
Hey, Pam. I'm just going to mute you. If you're not muted, please mute yourself.
I was muted.
Oh, you weren't. Okay, now we are. So let me just say that again. For those of you who were at the event, I invested in your guests. And by the way, that is my strategy. Okay, so I've ordered 100 books of the new ones because my strategy is to invest in the education of your prospects who are probably already aware of the products. The tendency, especially in Niken, because of such a strong product line, is we lead with the product. Inadvertently, that's just the way we do things. And we sort of been pushing you guys into, don't forget the business. That was almost pushed towards you because it's always on the back burner. And there's a hesitance on the parts of Niken consultants to really express how powerful this business is, because either there's a lack of belief, and you can be sure about that where your newbies are concerned, or you've lost belief, or whatever. That's why those stories, that if you listen to the stories on the interview, are really cool, because some of them are people who actually walked out of their company. A woman took a 16-year sabbatical from her company because she wasn't happy with the way the company was run until that company's management took over. She stepped back in, and boom, she's back at it for another, I don't know, 10 years or so. So the point being is people that you will hear in these interviews have come from different places and perspectives, but the one thing that they're testifying to is the power of this as a business model. And so I'm never going to shy away from that argument. I don't care who's speaking against it. The business model, in my opinion, is the most powerful thing that we have as an asset, because it builds an asset. And if you're not building an asset, all you're doing is building an income that requires your presence, and that's no different than a job. So if you're only focused on retail, you're basically creating a job for yourself. And while that is critically important at a certain stage in someone's timing, it's not going to keep somebody here for the long haul. So what keeps people here for the long haul, what keeps somebody building for the future, is the idea that they will somehow receive a benefit for investing their time and energy in building this asset. And we need to speak in terms of that. It's an asset that generates asset income. What's the difference? Asset income is when you have a company making you money and not you making you money. That's what an asset is. Your house is not, by definition, an asset. It costs you money. You pay taxes, heating bills, and so forth. Your house is not an asset. So, if you follow cash flow quadrants, that individual, help me out, Kiyosaki, he'll teach you that your home is not an asset. And I believe we heard that as well from Pan Barm's husband on the call on the launch, or excuse me, the 45th anniversary webinar.
Kiyosaki.
Robert Kiyosaki, yeah. And Pam Barm's husband Ron Barnes, who talked about that as well. Your house is not an asset. Your house is a cost. It's a liability, in fact, in some cases. So if we really want to help people understand financial acuity, we need to help them understand the power of building an asset and building an income asset. And this business offers that, especially if it's something you're looking in the long term. The 4-year career is at least at minimum a 4-year career, an investment of 4 years of building an asset that's generating a residual income. Now, even the smallest residual income, how much money would you have to have in the bank to earn $500 a month? Generally, it's about 200 times that amount of money. So if you multiply that residual income by 200, that's how much money you'd have to have saved in the bank at 5%. And the bank doesn't give you 5%. That would be invested somewhere at 5% return. So consider that what we're building is an asset which produces asset income. A lot of the discussion as well on the call was about how many generations have now participated in the inheritance of a network marketing business. In some cases, there were 3 or 4 generations. So what we're building is an asset that we can pass on. And when we start to understand the value of that, the importance of that, we can make a strong case for why this is something that people should consider as an income opportunity. So again, it comes back to the timing. When is it appropriate to have that conversation? And then how to facilitate that conversation in a way that's credible and effective. And I personally believe the 4-year career is a credible and effective tool for doing that. And I believe, as you probably all are aware, I believe in tools. I believe you say less to more people when you use tools, and the tools become your mechanism, your means to communicate. And it's easier and more duplicable for people to do that, especially the new people who are really shy about talking about things they don't really comprehend too well. So if you haven't read the book, order a copy for yourself. I'm sure you'll be satisfied, as am I, that it is a tool that you want in your arsenal of how to convey the importance of our industry. Now, there are both versions. Yes.
How is the book different, other than the fact it's got all the people in the back? How is it different?
That's the difference. In terms of this edition versus, because there's been several editions. So the most significant change happened in the last edition, which was 11, I believe, the 11th edition. And this newest edition is the same except for the stories in the back. But again, it's a new edition. So if you have existing inventory, or if you've read at least the last version of the book, the one previous is different. The last version, or the one that's currently being offered, is superior in many, many, many ways to the previous version. So I highly encourage that. I'm going to also give him a plug here for this Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire. I think that is a staple in network marketing. So this is a book you would want to gift somebody, say, who's attained the rank of executive. Why? As you know, Bob Proctor's been an important asset to the Nikan family in terms of the cultivation of leadership and leadership skills. And of course, where that's situated is the work in the mind. And this book, Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire, is all about that. So it is a simple, easy to read, how to get your head in the game book for success. Again, there's few things that I recommend, but when I recommend them, I really stand behind them. And this is a book I really stand behind, because it teaches a lot of the stuff that I learned with years and years of working with Bob Proctor and the books that I've read, but it keeps it really simple and perfect for somebody who's new to being self-employed, new to network marketing, because they've got to get their head in the game. That's the difference between success and failure in all endeavors. And this business is no different. So the 4-year career, when to use a book like that. The income opportunity, when to express that idea. Well, what I think may have changed or is changing, or what we're noting in Latin America, for instance, what's a little different there in terms of the timing. Usually what's happening there is, and I noted this when I was doing all the interviews with Gloria Nava and her team in Latin America, when we were doing that call, they all had 2 very significant dates. They had the date that they were introduced to Nikken, generally speaking, via the product. Then they had the date that they were not introduced to the business, but activated their business. And sometimes they were not a consultant, but they became a consultant. And that was a second date. And it was almost invariably everyone talked about this date that they got involved and then the date that they actually got active as a business enrollee. Now, why that is significant is because it tells you the timing. They are prospecting their customers for the business and not prospecting people in general for the business. And I think this is where the FTC is really trying to make its case. And that is that you're selling the opportunity rather than selling the product. Well, I don't agree with the FTC one way or the other, but I do agree that we do need to become very good at both, at selling the product and in terms of acquiring customers, which is the case that Ben makes for the shift in his recent article on Facebook, that we are definitely needing to get more proficient at acquiring and keeping customers, being customer centric. That means the way we communicate, the way they experience Nikken, right from the shopping cart forward. There has to be a better experience, and we're all responsible for that. The way they're followed up with, and how we stay in touch with our customers and stay focused on solving their issue. So when we look at those 5 pillars of health, when we encounter someone, we need to identify where there is a need and help them solve that need. But it's easier to build belief in the product because it's something you can demonstrate immediately, and it's something they can experience immediately, and people act on their beliefs. It's much more difficult to get somebody to act on theory, what could be a potential situation for them, unless they're already really skilled entrepreneurs and they can go ahead and make that leap into the business. So the migration of prospect to customer to business partner is what's really driving things in Latin America. And so obviously there's a focus on that front end being, how do we attract customers? More customers. The more customers we have, the more prospects we have for our opportunity. But then how do I transition a customer into a business, potentially a business partner? One of the people that's mentioned by Richard Brooke in many interviews is a guy named Adam Green, who at one point in time was literally personally sending out 2,000 books a month to his organization. 2,000 a month. And do you know who they're sending them to? The people who achieved the first qualification rank in his company. So that would be the equivalent of maybe, I don't know, not quite an executive in our case, but maybe somebody who does the Power Start, something like that, maybe a little bit more. The point being is, if he's got 2,000 people a month joining his organization, and he took the time to invest in those people with this book, well, the reason why he has an incredible multi-million-dollar business and a strong residual income is because he invested in his people's understanding of the power and the potential of this opportunity. People will act in accordance to their beliefs. And believe me, and I'm sure you're pretty clear about this, they don't believe in network marketing necessarily 99% of the time. So we need to help them gain an understanding and appreciation for our business model, which creates an asset and an asset income, regardless of what the population or the stigma or whatever has to say about it. And if you don't have that strength of confidence and conviction and belief in that, then you're not going to talk about it. And so it's really important to understand that we've got to be professional and proficient in these two very clear areas. Something I wrote down that he mentioned in one of the emails he sent us, teeing us up for this call. He said, number one, customers are how we get paid. Very important. That's number one. Number two, repeat customers are how we get paid asset income. Again, this is based on the customer. Number three, but enrollments is the only way we grow. So we want to grow our asset income. That means we want to create enrollments. But what's clear now is the difference in the path. The path is now very clear. We need to convert our customers, some of them anyway, into possible business associates. And now, and this time, people are looking. One of the people on the call talked about his LinkedIn success with this particular book. Because a lot of professionals right now are unemployed. They've lost their main income. They're looking for opportunity. And so this gentleman is using the 4-year career as a way to transition them into his concept if they're looking for an income opportunity. So what about your customers? Would they appreciate this book? And there's some training that he does, Richard Brooke that is, and there's a call that he's going to be doing, inviting people to learn how to utilize the book for this purpose, the transition from moving a person who is an avid customer, a fan of the Nikan products, into somebody who might consider this as an opportunity for themselves just by the recommendation of this book, reading this book. So I'm going to carry copies of this book, as I always have, for myself, to be able to hand to people who I want to introduce them to the business who may be already fans of the products. I think it's a really nice transition because, again, the book is self-explanatory. It does a fantastic job of explaining the benefits of this. Now, some of you were on, if there's any questions, please feel free to jump in. But one last point about this. Since we are in the solutions business and we are the humans being more company, that means we look at people through the lens of the 5 pillars, not the 1 pillar. So physical health is not the only pillar. That person may have a financial need right up front. I have no problem with addressing that if I identify that as one of their needs. Again, one of the things I highly recommend they do is peruse this book. And what's nice about perusing is I don't know if you've noticed, but it's hard to get people to watch a video, even if you just flip the video to them by electronically. But when you hand them a book, and if you've underscored or highlighted a few things in the book, they have a tendency to peruse the book like a magazine, and they might read a paragraph, and that paragraph is all it takes for them to get, oh, what? And then they start digging into it further. There's something about a book that has a little bit more substance. It's more substantive, I guess that's the word. And if it's from you, if you handed it to them, again, even more so. So I'm a strong believer in this process, and I think it's really important we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater as we start to come into the information and the education of how to acquire customers. It's the transition of those customers into consultants that enables growth and particularly exponential growth. And what does it take to build a Nikan Royal Diamond business? 3 partners as committed or more committed than you. 3. In all of the world, can you find 3 people who would be as committed and motivated as you? Surely you can. There's people on this call that indicate that there's more than 3 of us. So it's a question then of identifying them, presenting them, helping them acquire the belief, moving them along a process. There was one woman who said, I fell in love with the process and I just keep doing the process. In other words, the process is the system. And if you can fall in love with the process, then you have a system that you can duplicate and you will see the results because the results are a percentage of the number of people you engage in this process. So having said that, there were some of you who were on the call last night. Barb, you rose your hand.
Yeah.
Did you have a comment about it?
Yeah, one thing that came across loud and clear from every single one of the presenters, their pride in the career of network marketing. And they were not afraid to state that they are in network marketing. Also, every single one of the presenters used the 4-year career as the instruction booklet, as the guide for their new people. And they give it the credit for their new people catching the vision of the business.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Was anybody else on that call, by the way? Want to chime in? Nancy, you were on that call? Here, let me help you out here. I'll unmute you. Are you able to unmute? It's asking me to ask you.
Are you talking to me?
No, I see
Okay.
Nancy Elliott Green, I believe, who's
Okay.
put her hand up, but I can't unmute her. Can you unmute yourself? You don't know how? Okay. Somebody make note. Nancy needs some help. Instructions on Zoom. By the way,
Bottom
Nancy,
left corner, Nancy, bottom left corner.
try
you'll
the
see-
bottom left corner of your screen. You might see a microphone, and it can be muted or unmuted by clicking on it. Brilliant.
Got it.
You did it. Ta-da.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the way he presented network marketing. I'm one of those people who adore the products. I've used them for over 25 years, and I wouldn't spend a day of my life without them. I share them. People come into our home, they sleep on the mattress, they drink the water, they go, how can I get that? And I get customers. But I have a problem. I've had a problem in the past with network marketing because it didn't line up with my vision and my mission. I like to share the products. And I have trouble getting credit cards out of people. I'm always, well, maybe I shouldn't say this. People want to trade for a piano tuning, a homemade woolen blanket from their flock. My family are the most interesting bargainers. What else can they give me besides a credit card? And I would love to have some tips on that. I have no problem sharing the product and the business. At one point, I had my 3 customers, and we were in 3 different countries, and we would go on blockbusters. And after a while, they died. That was sad because I lost my best friends and 2 of my strongest business partners. But that doesn't mean I can't jump in like that young lady who was in the S business. She was amazing. She had lost faith in the company, and that's why she jumped out. My son actually said, Mom, why did you stop doing NECAN? You were so excited about it. And I said to him, I've never stopped. I've never stopped, but I was so sad when I lost my business partner that I no longer tried to interest people in the business. He went, oh, I always wondered. Just recently, I've tried to interest some of my grandchildren.
Fantastic. Well, see, a book like this would be a way that when we speak, when we talk, especially Nancy, when you talk with your grandkids, you're so connected to them that they may just look at NECAN as a representation of you. And it's like, well, you know, that's a different world, Nana. That's not my thing. But when you hand them a book like this and they see the stories in the back that they can identify with, and they read the story, they read the concepts inside, they might say, this is brilliant. This is, it's no longer about you, and it's about what they're reading and the concept. This is why third-party information or third-party validation, why the ABC works. So consider the book an ABC for the conversation about the business model, the idea of how to build a business organically, naturally. And if you're already a fan of the product, then that's half the battle, because the first 2 points in the book are about being a raving fan of the product. Right. So
Yeah.
I think this is, thanks for your input, Nancy. And is there anybody else who was
Thank
on the
you.
call?
I was on the call. This is Barb Satterwhite.
Yes, Barb.
And that was my question. I had a case of the original books. Okay. Gotten rid of a lot of them, but there's still many. And so that was my big question. And I have the one for women. So the difference in this latest version from the second version, which had the NECAN Royal Ambassador version, that's
It's different.
Well, is the content the same except the speakers, the stories?
No, it's different. It's the last version that he did, which was, I believe it was the 11th edition. It says on the title, How to Make Your Dreams of Fun and Freedom Come True or Not. It was the 11th anniversary edition. That was when there was a change. And it was a really, really good change. I'm just looking to see, as we're running out of time here, if I got an email. I do. Where
No,
can
there's
you?
one after the one Barb's talking about.
Yes, it's the
And
one
that's where
after the
they
one.
talk- yeah.
If
That's
you
the
go
one that
to,
talks about building the business.
so he's running a special right now until I believe November 9 or November 11. Bliss Business, BLISS business.com/4 YC, as in for your career. Blissbusiness.com/4YC. So go there and you can check out the specials that he's got running. And it's not big stuff. It's like you can get 5 of the women's version, 5 of the men's version, or 10 for $79.97. So there's a huge $85 in savings with every 10 book bundle. It's a great deal. Plus, I think he's throwing in a free hat and, oh, hey, perfect. And a free Mach 2 with your Hair on Fire book and the private webinar on how to utilize the book. So all I can do is encourage you to do what I'm going to do, what I've already done in the past, because I really believe that this is something that we need to get better at. We need to get better at the transition in our conversation from the product to the opportunity. We're out of time, Barb, so if it's quick.
Well, just Mach 2 is a fabulous book. I have it right beside the FourYear Career.
All right, perfect. Well,
Them often. Yeah, it's a fabulous book.
one last.
He mentioned a discount code. I couldn't find the discount code when I went to order the package.
Well, I don't see a discount code. I just see this link that sends me to the special. I guess this is it. This is just what
Okay.
he's got. Okay,
Please
so
show the correct book.
I
I'm
don't have a-
confused.
I
Oh,
don't have a copy of it, but you will see it if you go to that website. You will go to
Okay.
that website and see the correct book. All right,
Thank
guys,
you.
thank you
There
for
isn't
joining.
a discount code because he just states there's an $85 savings. That's your discount, Nancy.
And so again, how I'm going to use this book is I'm going to be sending copies personally as an upline to new people in the business on my team. That's one of the ways I'm doing it because I want to ensure they're getting it. 2, I'm going to give them to customers to help customers transition from being just a customer to looking at this as a potential opportunity. It's really I find it personally, because I know my customers, I find it personally easier for me to send them a book and say, you know, if I send you this book, will you have a peruse through it and have a look at it? Because it really explains what it is that I do. And see if there's something that you or somebody you know would benefit from that. I have an easier time doing that than trying to pitch them directly for some reason. Maybe you're like me. So let's try that. So have a great day, great week, and thanks for joining, everybody.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mike.